Greetings, brothers and sisters of the left-hand path. This is Tartak's List. I am honored and privileged to be on the respected occultist John Goat's podcast here. How you doing today, bro?
I'm doing particularly okay. It's
You're doing fucking great.
great, yeah.
Congratulations on your excellent new elevation. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, just picking up, this will be one of the, discussions later in this show there. The importance of building up your normie life with your balancing with your spiritual life. I just got, some part-time hours at like a local grocer, nothing too big, but it's a step in the right direction for me, and I'm still going to be looking to fill my entire schedule, not just with part-time, but fill up my schedule with full-time work. That way I'd be making full-time income for full-time honest work. That's important. So let's start out with defining the fucking difference between bhakti, devotion, and slavish worship. And because we see a lot of, not just on the left side, but also the right side, confusing the two.
Okay, well, once you start growing in spirituality and life in general, you as a young buck, they teach you slavish worship. The sky Jew, the sky god, Yahweh, they want you to get down and worship. You are under him, you are beneath him. But on the left-hand path, this isn't how it is, man. We discover our own power. We're taught the art and the beauty of otherness. We are taught the values of solitude and getting to love yourself, because that's how you get to start to be productive in the world. Once you start loving yourself, then you're off to the races, man.
Yes. Now devotion is bhakti. It is a form of energy exchange. But then we have the churches, church cults here saying it's all about, being a communist slave, just groveling and just slavish worship that we see in Christianity and Islam, and Abrahamism. And this is, we're going to break this the fuck down. Would you like to start?
Absolutely. Okay, you see this in the occult as well. You got your mega pastor church magicians. They're the same as your TV evangelists. They're pushing the apocalypse constantly. If you don't give us your money, you won't get raptured. Or if you don't buy my grimoire, you won't ascend. Like, it's the same bullshit. Devotion to a deity is something that is extremely personal. The deity gets to know you, you get to know the deity, and they let you know what is the do's and don'ts of devotional practices, not slavish worship.
Correct. Now, I'm going to personally define devotion as just energy exchanges, like Tantra, which is you give a little piece of yourself, and whatever it is that's receiving devotion gives you a little bit piece of their self. Now, there's a very fine line here. A lot of people would consider this idolatry, and there is its risks and there is their benefits with idolatry. It all really depends on the nature of devotion, the nature of bhakti, and what is actually receiving the bhakti there. There are objectively good gods and goddesses that are great to be devoted to, and then there are also very nasty things that you can misplace or you can devote to, and they'll rake you the fuck out. Just like the world is being destroyed by misplaced love. The enemy, the Abrahamics preach love, love, love. It's all about love, and this whole obsession about love is to open up everyone's heart center so everyone's getting raked the fuck out by the enemy.
Absolutely. I'm going to share with you one of my many mistakes in my young occult career. When I started out with the Galatia, I started the headless rite or the bornless rite. Now, when I did that rite, I became very passionate, and at first nothing happened. But there was one occasion when maybe a few hours later, around 6 in the morning, right before I was supposed to get up for my job, an orb entered into my room, and there was an energy exchange. I absorbed that energy, and I became extremely unbalanced. I became psychotic. I started saluting the sun. I started ranting about justice and order. I became very unbalanced. Now, this wasn't an exchange. I absorbed this energy and became unbalanced. So there is a fine line. You want to take. There has to be an exchange. So the word worship, the etymology, literally is like to work for, and you can't look at it like I'm working for this deity. You're working with that deity. You're working towards soul evolution. You're working towards becoming a better person in the world. So they're letting you know exactly what you are. A lot of people don't know their purpose. A lot of people don't know why they're here. I mean, you're here to discover your higher self. Your higher self sets up situations for you, and it can get complicated if you view yourself as below and not source.
So that's the biggest trap, that the biggest snare that's been laid by the White Lodge and some of the corrupt left-leaning lodges too, is the big lie that you're nothing, that you're just an ant, you're a worm, you're to be stepped upon, and that you're supposed to like grovel in like slavish worship to some kind of exterior authority, to some kind of like power outside of yourself. And then what ends up happening, you end up giving away all your power, and you end up being raked the fuck out. I mean, I'll tell you about, these like Christians there, like, they could have done very well for themselves. They did do well for themselves, like they sold cars or they sold houses or stuff like that, and they made a lot of money. But they're like, well, I didn't do all that. God did all that, or something like that. So they're giving away their own, where they should take the credit. You can't take any credit in Christianity proper. Yahweh gets all the fucking credit,
Right.
Okay, and there's a joke that like Christians tell themselves, and like, it's kind of funny, but it's not funny because this is actually happening. So like someone's drowned in a lake, or they fell in a lake or something like that, and help comes by and says, here, I'll pull you out of the lake. And he said, nope, Jesus will save me. He'll send you help. He'll send me help. And then like a dog, paddles over their way, a lab or something paddles away, and like he swats it away, said, nope, Jesus is gonna save me. So he finally drowns, right? Goes to heaven. He's like, well, I thought you'd save me. He's like, well, you rejected the two helps I sent you, Well,
Yeah, that's
the
an older
bullshit.
parable. Yeah, I totally am familiar with that one, and it's fucking a horrible joke, but it's true. It really
It is
Don't
true,
give away
because,
your power.
or like people are doing, who like make a big sale or something like that, or something like that, and they give all their fucking credit away, or they fucking built something amazing, they give all their fucking credit away, they give it away to God, or even the reverse is true, they give all their credit away to Satan. Oh, well, Satan did that, I didn't do it, I'm just a vessel. And what this leads to is the coring of the personality, where the person completely just, like, he cores himself and he makes himself an empty vessel. Now, devotion is like a healthy devotional relationship would be like a give and take, give and give a little, take a little, receive a little, take a little. It's not supposed to be like a one-way street where like you completely like chant a name 1,000 times and then you get completely like fucking possessed and taken over, or something takes you.
It doesn't work like that. It's always an even exchange.
An even exchange. Yeah. But I'm talking about like the extreme like aesthetics, like I have nothing wrong with Hare Krishna current. I actually have multiple videos promoting it. I have Venom and Honey on my channel. I have another video about it, and I was just talking a little bit with Henrik about it today. But it's like it's supposed to be a two-way street. I mean, because really these gods and stuff, the debate about whether they're something outside of you or just symbols of power is a moot point. Is this relationship helping you? Is this relationship empowering you? Is it giving you multi-dimensional mastery, or is it fucking draining you of your energy? That's the real question that needs to be asked. And if it's an unhealthy relationship, then you need to get out of that and do something else. Do something different. And not be like a one-way street where someone completely just cores themselves and they turn themselves into a Krishna zombie, or it's no different than someone getting completely taken over and turning themselves into a Jesus zombie. So devotion, it's like a rabbit hole. You can take it as far down the rabbit hole as you want. But there's going to be a certain point. You go deep enough in that rabbit hole, there's no getting back out of it. That's why, if someone wants to be a devotee, I highly recommend, can't stress the importance enough, that it should be a balanced two-way street and not a one-way street. That they give little, they receive little, they take a little, and keep it at like a friendship. But someone who's got this, someone who wants to like completely grovel before something and become something slave, that's just Christianity.
Absolutely. Now let me share another aspect of poetic magic with you. The first couple rituals I did and connecting with the infernal divine, I gave corrupted requests, a request for money, just regular mundane stuff,
Yeah.
and it really blew up in my face. Eventually, these things did come to pass. What I asked for, I did get, but at the end of the day, I really made it happen, and the Spirit showed me that. And during that whole time, I was severely drained. I was lethargic. It was almost as if the Spirit was feeding off of my life force to make these things happen. And that's the give and take. There is nothing for free in this field of the occult and connecting with spirits. Now, if you're going to get on a level of strictly devotion, there is also an exchange. You become like that spirit.
Yes.
A microcosmic representation of that spirit, and that's great. But
what one worships, one becomes. What one worships, one becomes. It's very, very important. A good Nile lyric, Vile Nilotic Rites by Nile. Go check out that album. It's good.
I'm familiar with Nile. I've
Yeah.
seen it a couple times. But if you're doing your magic and
Right.
you're feeling severely lethargic,
Yeah.
there's something wrong.
That you got a really and a lot of good meaning bad goys. They're awake. They know that the White Lodge they know that Christianity's bullshit. They know that the White Lodge is fucked up, and they want to change shit. They go off way off the deep end. They go into a void worship, dark Satanism, and they start worshiping the devil, these dark archetypes, and they start giving themselves over to them, man, and they get like raked the fuck out. It's like it's like I forgot. Oh man, I forgot who said this quote there, but it's like I'm gonna probably end up butchering this quote here, but here it goes to the best of my memory here. My eyes were open. What I thought was a cult was not a cult, but a blasphemy against the occult. What I thought was... Shit, I fucked it up. Okay, I'll try again. What I thought was truth is a lie. What I thought was a cult was a blasphemy against the truth. And what I thought was a cult and black magic was just another snare to basically fucking get me deeper into the web. No, I don't, man. I'm outside right now. If I was in front of my computer, I'd be able to tell you who it was in like 5 minutes.
Right. That's cool. But yeah, early in my occult career, I was
Yeah.
asking for the wrong thing. This thing's about fear, G-Man.
It's not fear. Yeah.
Self-development.
You can't create anything. You can only, it's like fucking 2 + 2 = 4. You can't create anything but more fear by adding more fear to the equation. Well, I'm gonna add fear to something. I'm gonna add, this to something. It's only gonna create more fear. You can't create peace out of adding more chaos to the situation. But there is a point in the universe where you actually can fight fire with fire, and that's called the self-defense principle. When someone's fucking with you or your people, you have every right to fuck back.
Now, when you get into the fear, G, you're getting into an exchange. You're getting into becoming.
Yeah.
The end. Getting in touch with your higher self, your HGA, whatever you want to call it. This isn't about materia.
Yeah.
In fact, materia is, as you seek materia constantly 24/7, it's just you're broadcasting to the world that you're no more than dross.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a simple formula of change yourself and change the world.
Yep, and as I was explaining to Henrik, as he brought up a very good point, like the extreme Hare Krishnas that preach austerity, that preach communism, give up all your possessions, it's all for Krishna and nothing else. It's like they're getting you into the right brain in balance. When you are in the right brain in balance, or it's all about the spirit, fuck the material world, or even the opposite. Hail the material world, but fuck the spirit. You have stagnated in your evolution. True power is having power and influence in both worlds, and having power and influence in the material world and the astral world, mastering your dreamscapes, your heavenscapes, your hellscapes, all that shit.
Indeed.
Multi-dimensional evolution on all fucking layers, not just the physical layer or not just the spiritual layer.
Indeed. I couldn't have said that better myself, man.
Now, there are a lot of good archetypes in there. I'm not going to name any examples. Use your imagination. That will give back if you give to them. There are a lot of good, friendly archetypes, spirits, and whatever that will more than happy be your friend. And then there are some things that are so beyond that where people think that they have personality or they have the capability of like having anything nearly related to the human, and they start like worshiping that. It's just like worshiping a black hole or a void. It's just going to rake you out. It's not because it's intentionally malevolent or evil. It's just because it's fucking, like it's like you're just giving your energy to a drain. It's not an archetype. It's not a personality. It is a violent, consuming force of nature. And that's where all like the kids who want to like fuck up the White Lodge, they want to go against the White Lodge, they get raked out in the left-hand path. Yep.
I mean, if people want to know about your situation, they could watch earlier episodes.
Yep.
On the Goat Lodge. But look, if there's anything that people can take away from this podcast, please, I urge all occultists to listen to this. If you pick a side, solar or lunar, you're missing the point. The key is to get to the absolute 0 point.
Yes.
Right before supernovae.
Yes.
You're individuating.
Yep.
Not if you're fucking ultra satanic, I'm fucking parabolic Gnostic 218. I mean, yeah, I would best describe myself in the Kreator phase right now. I'm totally all for the satanic archetypes. This is what I live, eat, and sleep. But I will say, do not let yourself become too polarized if you choose a side you're point.
Yeah, you get raked. Yeah, you get raked out very, very easily, which goes to the next topic we're going to be discussing soon. The dangers of these being too polarized in one thing, and you get the void auric replacement, where your own light goes out and it gets replaced with the void. I call that the black tentacle become a living god syndrome.
Awesome. Let's
Yep.
do it.
So, what happens when someone chooses too much polarity there? Okay, we gotta understand here that this is gonna sound really Jewy when I say this, but both God and Satan are important. They're both powers. They're both our divine power. And when you give too much to one of them and while neglecting the other side, you know, you're gonna get taken over by one of the other. Yes. Yes, and they both sides exist for a reason. They exist for our benefit and our liberation. I mean, imagine if this entire universe was dominated by the void, was dominated by darkness. There wouldn't be any stars or light or creation, anything like that. And that's what these void worshippers don't understand, is going into the void, or the idea of annihilating all cosmos and the liberation of spirit. Oh, great, so you destroyed all universe, all creation, you killed everyone, killed all life, and now you've entered the void. Great, you're liberated. Then what? For eternity? After about 5 minutes, it's going to get real fucking boring, real quick. And maybe not 5 minutes in the void, maybe a couple hours, but you will get bored in that void. You know?
It's the same thing as if you go to the fucking Jew heaven. Your personality was going to be completely obliterated. You're not going to know you there. You're not going to know who you were. You're not going to know who you are. You're going to be like that fucking burning bush with Moses. Like 1 minute I'm fucking blessing you, the next minute I'm coming into your tent to murder you. You're not going to know up from down, left from right.
Yeah, and this thing called Yahweh is going to have its way with you. But even at the end of the day, that too is just an energy polarity. It's just a potential. If this world was dominated completely by the Empyrean world, if this was dominated by the angelic and there was no darkness whatsoever, we'd be blinded by the light, and there couldn't be any distinction and differentiation. So we'd be trapped in a white void. We'd be trapped in a void of light, a void full of feathers and angels and shit. And that's going to get really fucking boring really fucking quick too.
Lucifer teaches about the beauty of otherness, high philosophy, how to deconstruct and take apart all facets of life.
Yes.
But the beauty of otherness is it's duality, but bringing them together in unity. Therefore, they're not mutually dependent upon each other. They are each other. They are a source. And at the end of the day, there is only you, and just like it was in the beginning, it was just you floating in limbo, thinking about what to do with yourself, until you cried out in the void and individuated, just like you're learning to do here. There's nothing but you.
Yes.
You are source.
And that agrees very well with Martin Heidegger there, that essentially the self itself is void. The self is the void, and everything that we're experiencing is just, perturbations and distortions within this world. We are not in our heads. We are in the world. Like I'm sitting out on this porch right now in a green plastic lawn chair in front of the sun. I'm not in my head. I'm with you right now. And then we are right now, but someday we will not be. True death is annihilation. It's a zero. You take away everything. So why is it like that when you block out your senses, you were to turn off all the lights and close your eyes, like why is it that I can start to see colors and like hallucinations on acid, Why is it that I'm starting to have psychedelic trips the minute I close off my senses? Now, I'm not saying that everyone has that. Normal people will probably experience that, maybe not within minutes, it might take them a little bit longer, but very, very quickly, very, very quickly, very, very quickly, when we deprive the senses there, we start to create a hallucinogenic psychedelic experience because the mind wants to experience, it wants to be validated, and it wants to be itself. And if it can't receive internal stimuli, it'll create its own stimuli. It'll create its own mental chatter in order to keep itself up.
And it will dream.
Will dream.
Create a dialogue. It will create multiple characters. It will create an environment. It will do exactly what you did in the beginning.
And take all that chatter away. Beyond the, we're not our chatter. We're not our thoughts. We're not our ego. We're not our emotions. You take all those you strip all of it away, and what we have silence. We have a void meditative state. That is self. No thing. That's just, yeah, the experiencer. We are the observer. We're the observer observing exterior phenomena. The Da Sing, the being, the being there. We're being, we're there. So it's that simple, you know. I was listening to Michael Tessarian speak about Martin Heidegger's, the German philosopher, and Heidegger didn't like the new Buddhist teaching that said that the soul, the personality gets transferred from body to body. That you leave body and then Joe the plumber or Joe the baker enters a new body. No, Joe the baker or Joe the plumber is completely annihilated, and then Joe the baker he's weaved back together again. But this time he's not Joe the baker or Joe the plumber anymore. He's Mark the carpenter now in this incarnation. So in a sense, death is annihilation. It's the end of us. But what we think is us is not really us. You know, we are everything and nothing at the same time. We are the void. You know, and that's why psychedelics and stuff can cause great spiritual harm. Great spiritual harm to people who aren't ready to experience the fullness of the emptiness of the voidness that is the self. Because all that bullshit, all that chatter gets stripped away, and you start seeing into the astral, and then at the very, very high dosage or whatever, you're completely annihilated, and everything feels the same. I don't know anything. I don't know what I am. I can't even remember my own name.
Brief minute, and then it's gone. Like you return to yourself, your true divine high self, and you fucking, if you have friends around you, they're probably seeing a halo around your head, and then it's gone. Look, man, we all are source. There's no separation there, but all paradoxes may be reconciled. We are here to experience otherness, but all roads lead to God, which is you. All roads.
Yes.
I don't care if you're a fucking Christian. I don't care, even if you're the enemy, if you're a Jew. Even though you're going to get what's coming to you. But anyway, I won't express my hate. But all roads lead to yourself. Back to yourself.
Yes. And so what happens when someone takes on too much polarity there? There is what Mark Allen Smith calls the flight of the locust in the Red King. This is when a soul takes on the path of the Dark Lodge at an exponential rate, and it becomes really, really unbalanced, really unbalanced. And the same thing can be done with the white light. You know, you see these people, you know, that they've prayed to an archangel or they prayed to Jesus or whatever, and they see the flash of white light, and it completely takes them over. And that person ain't there anymore. There's nothing but Jesus left behind, or, you know, the same thing. This is what I call the black tentacle become a living God syndrome, which is basically a very friendly euphemism for the locust path. And I was on that shit. I got pulled into void worship, but it wasn't through Erica Frevel. It was through worshiping of the extreme. It was through extreme contrarianism. Extreme contrarianism. Fuck the white light, fuck the angels and that, hail death, and we're not going to 5D, we're going to the void, we're going to hell, the absolute devils of darkness, and absolute doom and gloom and everything like that. And my aura was like completely like shredded, and my aura was taken up, and basically these people who are like into that kind of extremism, they get an entity attached to them, and it starts to drink from their heart, it starts to drink from one of their chakras, whatever, like that. And my friend called me the fuck out, and he's like, hey, you done fucked up here. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. You don't know where the fuck you're going. You have a thing with tentacles and stuff that's basically slowly eating you, that's slowly pulling you into the void, man. You can't astral project, because if you astral project, it's going to fucking take you, and you may not even be able to come back to your body. If you die, it will take you into the void. This was serious. But my friend was able to eat this motherfucker. He straight up ate this motherfucker. He was practicing Qigong and shit, and he was able to build himself up so strong that this thing, most likely it was a thought form or something, thought form parasite. He was stronger. Yep. My thought form of Satan, my thought form of Satan, and this black path by this locust path, by taking on too much darkness. And what would have happened if I continued that way? I would have become that thing. It would have ate me, and I would have been. There would be no more. There would be no more Mr. Goat. It would just be void thing, making YouTube videos or whatever. Yeah, I would have turned into a complete dickhead, So there's a lot of ugly shit. I don't want to think about what could have happened because I don't want to think about, what could have happened if I continued down that way. That's pretty scary shit. But basically, people who post these videos that say all about darkness and death, Satan is all about darkness and death and summoning devils and all about annihilating the light, they get that, what I call the black tentacle become a living God syndrome. And what happens if you continue that path, you can end up like me or worse, where you get an entity drinking from you there, and it's almost like a symbiosis. And what this thing seeks, it seeks to inhabit you. It seeks to inhabit your body because it's too afraid to incarnate into a human form, but it's more than happy to ride in on someone through it's more than happy to ride in on someone hyperdimensionally and work through them. And this is what some of the extreme shit in the ONA preach as well. The Order 9 angles becoming, basically merging with this tentacle thingies, merging with, which is essentially the old ones, and letting them work through you, and you just become a puppet.
A lot of people have experienced that fucking tentacle beast there.
Yeah.
It's a Cthulhu type thing.
Yeah.
It's your shadow, basically.
Yeah.
Amorphic, it's your shadow. And very scary. I've experienced the same exact thing multiple times. But it was my friend. I felt that it was my friend. And I didn't want to get rid of it. I wanted to be its friend, but with a mutual exchange. But it didn't seem like that was possible. So
Yeah.
I sought to get rid of it. And I just ignored it. So I'm pretty sure it's still there on the peripheral of my spiritual role.
Yep.
That's just outside my sphere of input. So, yeah, man, I like all of them. All the ones that have actually showed their love to either pay attention to me or fucking hate me.
Yeah.
Pay attention to me.
So
That is the most valuable currency
Time is spiritual currency. What do you spend your time reading, watching, and paying attention to? Paying attention. That is spiritual currency. Now, anyone who gets into magic, any kind, whether it be right-wing or left-wing magic or the passive individuation, you will have interface with spirits. You will have things that love you for it, and you will make enemies, too, that hate you for it, that want you to be small, that want you to continue to basically, that want you to continue to be their snack. The best thing you can do is this is why there's protection rituals. You have to do anything, whether it be an aura cleaning or drawing your circle or whatever every day. But if someone wants to end up being a host or fucking let these things happen, that's their fucking business. You know, I'm not going to say anything more about them. But the reverse is also true. One can become completely obsessed with the angels, and I'm more than positive the angelics will take over people and turn them into fucking saints. Saints for their fucking use. These things are very, very greedy, and they're very manipulative, but also too, their powers, their potential. When you get unbalanced, they're favoring one or the other. You're easier to snack on by these things. That's why it's best not to be polarized and to be in totality. You know, low vibrational things, you know, that want to fucking create gossip or whatever, or divide family members amongst each other, or just create drama that feed off like dramas and shit like that. Drama bullshit like that. That's all low vibrational shit, and probably is the true anti-cosmic agenda if there is one. Are you there, Joe? Joe, are you there? Joe. Yeah, are you there, man? You're breathing heavy. Joe. Yo, are you there? Joe, I can't hear shit from you, man. You're breathing heavy or something. Joe, can you please say something? Appear to be having some kind of technical difficulty. I'm going to call him again. Joe. That's his voicemail there. We've appeared to encounter technical difficulties. I couldn't hear him for quite some time, almost 2 minutes. And then I hung up on him and tried calling back multiple times. Nothing. I just hit his voicemail each time. We're hitting a raw nerve. And this shows me that I'm touching a subject that something doesn't want me to fucking talk about. Or it could be pure coincidence. It could be just pure coincidence. You know, he had to go and do something else. That's also likely. Listen, motherfuckers, astral motherfuckers, who don't want me speaking. You will not silence me. I'm gonna press fucking harder. And I'm gonna finish this fucking podcast. There's no stopping it. There's no censoring me. I will finish this fucking episode. You get as offended as you want. I don't fucking care. Don't like what you're hearing? Float away. Float back into the void. Go somewhere else. But don't fucking try to censor me. Don't try to fuck with my shit. Because I like to fuck back. We were talking about the black tentacle become a living God syndrome. Now, I've talked about what can happen when someone takes on too much dark energy or chaos matter or whatever you want to call it. At times, the same thing can happen when someone takes on too much light or too much Imperium energy. They become imbalanced, and that person gets completely absorbed. You know, like a tumor grows. In Jungian psychology, they call these autonomous complexes. When someone, when a part of someone's psyche or someone's consciousness has gone awry, and it becomes more than just an egregore, it becomes its own personality, and it becomes literally cancerous to the person. Various crazy cults there, that people think they're having an interface with spirits or worshiping demons or something like that, or even worshiping angels. The cult leader becomes possessed of these autonomous complexes, and these autonomous complexes take over the individual. Now I'd like to go into the topic of occultation. This is when someone is getting into magic for the first time and is raising their psychic energy. They're drawing the circle, they're doing various invocations or incantations, and objects start flying about the room. Or, a plastic cup or, a mug or something throws itself off the counter. And people think, oh my holy shit, it's the spirits. They think they're haunted. They think the spirits are after them. But really, this is a psychic energy raising. It's not always the spirits. Just having a psychic energy raise in there, someone's aura heightening, can cause these. They're called occultations. It comes along with practicing the arts. And everything is connected to everything. When you touch something, you have strings attached to it. I just touched this, using this computer mouse, I probably have billions and billions of strings attached to it. I can stretch my soul out to the other end of the universe, to the edge of the Milky Way. I can go to Andromeda. Fuck. I could go to the edge of the universe, and these strings would still be attached to me. String theory. And this is why when couples and people, like boyfriend and girlfriends, or just really good friends in general, can finish each other's sentences, because there's a deep psyche connection between those two individuals. There is a soul connection. This is why dogs can find their way home. They get lost in the city, or you lost it on the other side of the country. It's got that strings, you know, that's guiding its way back home. Now, not always, and people have problems with entities or something, not always, it's not always entities. It could be occultations. And I'd like to give out an example real quick. Very, very good movie. Highly recommend you watch it. It's called A Dark Song. Spoiler alert. If you don't want this movie ruined for you, stop the video right now, or just drag the play bar ahead another like 5 or 10 minutes or something like that. You'll probably be good. But stop the video right now and go watch A Dark Song before you continue here. Okay, spoilers now. So A Dark Song is about a girl, a woman who had her child killed by a young, like teenage satanic cult or something. These teenagers like playing with dark sorcery or whatever. They killed her boy, and she tries to hire this sorcerer to perform the Abramelin the Mage, the rite of Abramelin, so she can talk to her dead son. I'm gonna get the cast for this real quick because I think the movie is very, very good. It's very, very good. I watched it on Prime last week. Very, very good film. I can't highly recommend it enough. And occult-wise, it's very accurate. The occultations and things going on there. So Sophia is the main character. She rents a house on the countryside in Wales, and she hires an occultist, Joseph Solomon, to perform the rite of Abramelin the Mage so she can talk to her dead son. We later find out, like halfway through the movie, that it isn't really about talking to her son. She wants to damn those people who killed her son. She wants to damn them. She wants to talk to her guardian angel, holy guardian angel, and she's going to ask her holy guardian angel to damn those people who killed her son. And Joseph Solomon says, no, they're already doomed. They're already going to hell. They'll no need to throw any more worries into it. But she persists, and they proceed into the ritual anyway, the rite of Abramelin the Mage. Now there comes to a point in the movie where they're having these occultations, they're having these voices and like apparitions and just shit happening, and this happens at least twice in the movie. One of the physical occultations that happen is a spirit, a voice that uses a voice of Sophia's son, that's talking to her in her son's voice, and Joseph Solomon says, "That's not your son. You know, don't talk to him." She's like, "I know it's not my son, but I want to talk to him so bad." When it happens a second time, a voice is like taunting her and playing with her, and like, "Hey, you know, I'm cold here. I miss you. Talk to me. Why didn't you pick me up from daycare that day?" And then it just straight openly says and comes out, "I'm not really your son. I'm just a cunt using your son's voice to fuck with you." And so she goes out into the hallway and finds Mr. Solomon there. And Mr. Solomon says, "That's not your son." It's like, "I know." And Mr. Solomon says, "That's the power of human hatred. Embrace it." So, she digs this hole. She digs herself deeper in this hole, almost to the point where she cannot get out of it. She digs her obsession with vengeance, her obsession with getting back at these people who killed her son. She ends up making contact with her holy guardian angel, and she ends up making like a 180-degree turn. She says that she wants the power of forgiveness, and everything just changes 180 degrees. She sees the light, metaphorically, so to speaking, and she lets it go. She lets all this hatred and all this fear and all this pain, she lets it go. and the movie ends shortly thereafter. Basically, when you have that much hatred and that much wrath and that much fear of anything, whether it be fear of the devil or fear of God, as in my case, I hated the light. I feared heaven. I feared the Empyrean so much that that's what I come to think about. That's what I've come to think about. And at an unconscious, subconscious level, that hatred could not be fully healed. That could still be there. Did I have interface with the old ones? Very likely. But whose old ones was it? Was it H.P. Lovecraft's old ones? Was it literally the creature from the Black Lagoon coming to get my soul? Or was it an old one that I created out of my own hatred and my own fear of the Empyrean, my fear of life, my fear of the light? Well, in the end, it doesn't really matter. What matters is I was doing things a certain way back then, and those are the results that I got. And now I'm doing things a little bit differently now to create different results. Are you healthy? Are you fucking balanced? Or are you imbalanced? Are you the master of your thoughts? Are you acting with love? Are you doing the real work I love? Or is everything fear-driven or ego-driven? As long as you're doing shit out of love and you're acting with pure intention, you're going to be okay. And just like Mr. Solomon says, you have to do this out of pure heart, out of pure intention, or things could go very, very fucking wrong. Very wrong. Very wrong. So that's the end of the spoilers. It's okay to listen back in now. Dark Song, made 2016, starring Steve Oram as Mr. Solomon and Kathleen Walker as Sophia. It was made by an Irish group of filmmakers. Very, very good, and probably one of the most occultically, spiritually accurate films made on occultism and made on ritual magic ever made. Another good one is Hereditary. But anyway, these motherfuckers are very real, and they feed on bullshit. They feed on drama going back and forth, and that's why you see like Become a Living Meme and all these like ShamWow occultists like bickering and fighting back and forth. And so tragically, so many of our people in the left lodges, even on the left-hand path, are fighting amongst each other. It's because they're not doing the real work. They're not doing the real work with the zero, doing work with the eternal darkness. They're not individually, and they've hit a plateau. They fall into an egoic trap, and they're getting raked out by these lower means. Are raking them out, and that's why there's so much bickering and bullshit going back and forth. The fruits, you will know them by the fruits of their labor, essentially. And the same goes with the right-hand lodges, too. You'll know them by the fruits of their labor. If it's not based in truth or reality, it's doomed to fail from the get-go. It's really doomed to it will never lift off. Even if it does, you'll get like 1 or 2 feet off the ground, and then boom, you'll crash back into the ground again. It'll never get far off the ground. If it's based in bullshit, it's gonna fall apart very fucking quickly. And all the members of whatever the fuck you got going on are gonna descend into bickering, is gonna descend into drama, and descend into bullshit. I'm not here to make shit up or give you bullshit. I'm here to give you the real. So, we're going to move on to our final topic of this podcast today. We're going to talk about the importance of having a normie job, the importance of having a normie life. Listen, Being an adept is all about balance. You're balancing your multi-dimensional existence. Okay? You can get a lot of benefits out of the spiritual shit. You can get a whole lot of benefit out of it. But only if certain things are in order. And if you're doing things the right way. There's a lot of wrong ways you can do things. You can make some money off of the occult. Some money off of the occult. Like, Become a Living Meme, E.A. Coetting, and some of these crazy eBay book resellers. They get these rare books or whatever, and they may have been only like $100, when they're now all sold out and they're selling for thousands of dollars. You see, you can try that shit, and best of fucking luck to you, but it will catch up with you, And there are spirits and the patrons and the archetypes behind these rare books and these rare grimoires that have been dedicated to. They protect those books, You'd be an idiot to think that they would just let you flip it for an arm and a leg. You might get a sale. They'll catch up to you. You can't fuck them over like that. Just like you can't milk the occult. You can't milk this knowledge of the psyche. It is to the human birthright. It is rightfully ours. Anyone who wants it should get it. Libraries of Alexandria. At one point you could get it. It was public knowledge. Anyone could go in. They wanted to read knowledge. They want to read the scrolls, about the psyche and about the gods and the archetypes. They were more than welcome to do so. Then these motherfuckers, the greatest crime against humanity was the burning of the Library of Alexandria. They burned the great libraries to the ground. They completely burned them to the ground. And now this knowledge about how the mind works has been occulted. It has been sequestered. It has been put in the hands of a few who have an agenda to control and manipulate. And now my job, because I serve the truth, I serve zero, my job is to decrypt some of this knowledge and make it common knowledge, public knowledge again. And that's what the fuck we're doing here at Numinous Frequency. It's decrypting some of this shit and bringing it back to the forefront. With that being said, a true adept leads a multidimensional mastery. He has mastery over his spiritual and material domains. To lack in one of them is to famine and starve in all of them. So, with that being said, you don't get into this fucking kind of shit. You don't go invoking spirits or whatever, asking them to improve your material plane and expect to win the Powerball or some bullshit with putting minimal effort in there. They won't respect you. At very best, they'll laugh at you and they'll leave you alone to your own fate. At the worst, imposter spirits will answer your invocations and you'll get raked the fuck out. You have to fucking master your material fucking existence before you can even begin thinking about fucking with these arts. And when you do get in these arts and sciences, you are fucking sovereign. You have to do it from a standpoint of self-ownership, of fucking sovereignty, man. I'm telling you, self-ownership. But everyone has freedom of worship. So you want to get into high religion and you want to go worshiping the spirits or worshiping some god or goddess or whatever and become their best friend or go off and marry them and be their wife or their husband or whatever, that is your freedom to do so. But you got to be balanced in this shit. because you can very, very fucking quickly become unbalanced and get torn into the astral seas, get tossed, let your ship, are you steering your ship, or is your fucking ship of your mind getting tossed by the fucking waves of the astral and mental seas? With that being said, it's important to be fucking grounded. I can't stress that enough. You have to remain fucking grounded. And this is where we get the term down to earth. You ever met someone who you consider down to earth? They're grounded. They're real. They're practical and pragmatic. And this also has to come with pragmatism. So many people get this shit fucking wrong, both on the right side and the left side. They think they can just go be praying to Mother Mary or praying to some goddess to change things for them, and they don't have to do a fucking thing. Same shit on the left-hand path. They be thinking they can be invoking Satan or the goat of Mendes or, you know, whatever dark archetype, and ask them to just change their reality for them and not have to put forth any fucking effort. No, 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 no. It's not like that. You know, if you're fucking, you call yourself a Satanist or a Sinisterist, or you call yourself, consider yourself on the left-hand path, and that's your fucking modality, go back to fucking church, you know, because you're a fucking Christian. You're a Catholic. Go back to the pews, man. Clasp your hands together. I'm going to share with you a quote with someone who's very, very dearest to me. And this is what he has to say. Now, this friend who's very dearest to me, he is not right-hand path or left-hand path, because both are too polarized for him. He's more left-hand path leaning, but he is cryptic. The left-hand path isn't cryptic enough for him. And this is what he has to say. I am a pragmatist. I believe that one rifle and a pair of hands and boots on the ground is more effective than 10,000 hands clasped in prayer, kneeling in the pews at church. I'm going to repeat that again. I am a pragmatist, and therefore, I don't believe I know. I am of the philosophy that one rifle and pair of boots on the ground is far more effective than 1,000 hands clasped in prayer. We don't fucking change this reality by praying it to change. We're not going to pray ourselves into freedom. We're not going to pray ourselves into prosperity. We're not going to pray ourselves into love. We're not going to pray ourselves into any of that shit. No, prayer does have its place as a deprogrammer, to reprogram our unconscious, subconscious mind. Now, granted, yes, you can do prosperity rites, you can do prosperity prayers, you can do prayers for health and wealth and prosperity, but you're not going to win the lottery. That's completely unrealistic. What you can do, you can do a ritual, and then you can go out and apply for jobs. You can't manifest a chest worth of $1 billion gazillion dollars, but you can manifest a $15 to $20 an hour job that pays you direct deposit every Friday, where the boss is cool and that the work is fun. You might be able to manifest that. You're much more likely to manifest that dream job than you are to manifest money falling out of the sky. That's just not how shit works. Maybe it does work. It does work a little bit. I tell you what, I did the Thunder Wizard on Fehu ritual for 9 days, and fucking boom, like not even like 6 weeks later, or like not more than like 2 months later, I fucking land. I land a job millions would be like begging for. a dream job, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a job selling knives. Now this work is hard, you know. It's not like, oh, you know, every day I'm selling thousands and thousands worth of knives. No, it's work. I had to put in a lot of work. And right now, I'm working on building a new contact and names list so that I can continue. So I can, when I go back into this knife thing, I'm going to fucking excel at it. So it does work. Now, I didn't manifest the $6,000, but I most certainly manifested that job. So I'm better off now than I was before. I did the Thunder Wizard Fehu ritual again for 30 days, and this time I really pushed the limits. I asked for $100,000. Now, granted, you know, I don't really know if I'm going to get $100,000 falling out of the sky, maybe a briefcase or whatever like that, but I'm applying at the jobs. I got some part-time hours at a local grocer, and I'm still going to work. If I get a call back from, you know, other place I've applied to and they want to offer me some more part-time hours, they want to offer me some work, you know, I'm going to really bust my ass and work my hardest to work with those two jobs. The one that I've got now, the one that I'm going to get in about a week, the one I'm going to start in about really soon, and any like second or third jobs. That's how you work, you know. You can't just do this occult shit, or this spiritual shit, or sell online services for an arm and a leg, requesting car payments and requesting rent payments. Sure, you get a couple clients, you get some clientels and some good side money, some good income, but you can't fucking rely on that alone. No, you gotta have multiple streams of income. You gotta have a job too. What about the rainy days, you know, where you're not getting a whole bunch of clients? You know? You can't just live your life selling tarot readings and selling limited edition books, you know? Because you can only run so many presses, and then people stop buying or reselling your books at triple digits. The price of the value of your books go down. You know, and soon you find people selling your books on Amazon or whatever for like pennies or whatever. And I'm not putting anyone down. I'm not slamming anybody. I'm just saying you cannot milk the occult alone. You got to get a real job. Because it's not about making money. It's about expanding your consciousness. It's a multi-dimensional fucking expansion. You use the spiritual shit, the liturgical work to expand your mind, to expand your consciousness, and to expand your soul. Then you put that shit, when you reprogram yourself, you apply that shit and that gnosis you learned from the ritual chamber into the real fucking world, and then boom, you're expanding your material world. You're expanding both. You're expanding your material existence and your astral, mental, and spiritual existence. That's why I say multi-dimensional expansion, because you're expanding on multiple layers, not just one or the other. People who are focused on the occult solely for occult's sake, solely to expand their spirit, but without expanding their material mind, they're just like the escapist Christians or the escapist religionists. You say, oh, well, it's all about the spirit. It's all about the spirit. Fuck the material plane. Or people who are very pragmatic and they do this solely for material gain, but while neglecting the spirit. It's all about matter. You know, fuck the spirit. If I can't see it, it don't exist. Well, those people are left brain imbalanced. Okay, but when you expand both, when you are evolving and progressing on the spiritual plane and the material plane, that's real fucking power right there. When you can control your dreams, when you can astral project at will, when every night when you go to sleep you can control your dreams, when you can get results in the ritual chamber, and when you can apply that shit to your real fucking world and work a normie job and get in solid fucking income, when you control all three of those mental, spiritual, and physical realms, you have multi-dimensional power. That's real fucking power right there. You are on your path to sovereignty, to becoming a sovereign, to becoming the master of your own material plane. And isn't that the goal? Isn't that the entire goal of the left-hand path? To become our own fucking sovereigns, path to becoming our own gods or goddesses. So, getting a normie job, that's very fucking important. You're also probably going to want love, you're also probably going to want relationships, friendships. It's important to have that, you know, but I'm one of those guys where I don't have a whole lot of friends, you know. I have like 1 or 2, 3 brothers, you know, that I talk to that are very, very close to me. We can talk about all kinds of shit, crazy shit, you know. I'm glad I can have these conversations with those very close to me, conversations that if we're overheard on the street, someone would want to lock us away, you know. Now, granted, you know, it's all part of being grounded. You're going to want to have a couple normie friends, too, normies who, you know, they love football or you know, MMA or, you know, soccer or whatever like that, or cars or something, you know. It's important to have some normie friends who like normie shit because, you know, you might have that time where you have the absolute shit scared out of you in the ritual chamber, where you go a little too deep, you go deeper, a little bit faster, a little bit deeper than you wanted to, and you get the total shit scared out of you. Who are you going to rely on? Who are you going to go to ground yourself? You're probably going to call your normie friends. You're probably going to go to the bar, have a couple of beers, whatever like that, and watch football or watch fighting or whatever like that. And you're gonna ground yourself. You're gonna get back to reality. You're gonna collect yourselves, your mental selves. You're gonna collect your pieces, and you're gonna condense, and you're gonna shrink right back down, back into your body. You're gonna get yourself together. The term is real. Has anyone ever told you, hey, get it together, get yourself together? That means pick up all your pieces, pick up your cells, pick up your astral bodies, pick up your mental bodies. Pull yourself together. Be complete. That's what it literally means. A lot of this stuff with language and words is a lot more simpler than you might think. So, multidimensional existence. Or to quote George Sprague, believe in the ritual chamber, disbelieve in the real world. George Sprague wrote a treatise on Satan's tarot, which is a specific tarot cards by Michael A. Davis. He wrote, the name of this treatise is Gates of Hell, and he has an actual path working to work alongside with Satan's tarot. If I get enough requests for it or enough likes or comments, I might actually do a de-occultation, a decrypting of my copy of Gates of Hell and Satan's Tarot. I don't have the actual cards, I just have the photocopy of them, but they're pretty badass nonetheless. Believe in the ritual chamber, disbelieve in the real world. This also sums up the paradox that these forces and that these archetypes, these gods and goddesses and energy forms, they do not require our belief or devotion in order to function in the real world. They're like the forces of nature. Gravity doesn't require our belief or worship or devotion in order to be gravity. It just is. The wind doesn't require our belief or devotion for it to blow. The rain doesn't require our belief or devotion in it in order for it to rain. And same thing with these gods and goddesses, these pylons of power. They are, regardless whether we choose to believe in them or not, they are self-existing. Now, granted, we can work with them, we can build relationships with them, we can choose to hit our own string, we can choose to struck our chords in sync with them and create even more change and chaos and create more change in the world. Or some of us can even choose to go against them, go in opposition to them, and make our lives more difficult, we're more than welcome to do that. They're here for our benefit. Okay? These things, these archetypes, I view them similar to how Mark Passio views natural law. Natural law is self-existing. You have rights. Anything that isn't harming others is a right because it's not a wrong. Gravity is self-existing. Wind is self-existing. Rain is self-existing. And so do these gods and dark gods. They're self-existing. Take for example, take a look at some of the Sumerian and Babylonian demons. Pazuzu. Pazuzu represents the winds. He's the winds. He's the breezes. He's the harsh sands in the harsh winds. So that tells you right there that these gods and goddesses are symbols of the forces of nature. They do not require our slavish worship or devotion. But if you want to befriend them or make friends of them, I'm sure some of them are more than happy to have a friend-to-friend devotional relationship. And that sums up my point here about give and take relationships. You give a little, you receive a little. You give a little, you take a little. It's a two-way street. It's not like worshiping a black hole, like it's a one-way street where you just completely get taken the fuck over. Now, there are fucking some pretty nasty, pretty negative spirits that do like to rake people the fuck out, and I'm fucking like almost 100% positive that they're behind the locust paths. They're behind the false paths of polarization. They're behind extremist Satanism, and they're also behind Christianity, and they're behind Islam. They're behind Judaism. They're behind any religion that says you have to be a slavish worshiper, that you're nothing, that you're dirt, that you have to slavishly worship and give all your energy to them. These low vibrational fuckfaces that don't have the balls to incarnate, but they get off on fucking riding in on people hyperdimensionally. Fuck them. I'm not in service to them. I serve the truth, and I serve zero. And I'm more than happy to have interface, and I'm more than happy to have interface with archetypes, gods, goddesses, dragons, angels, demonics, whatever, that the truth brings before me, and the truth places in my path. But the true archetypes, the true dragons, do not require your slavish worship. They are self-fucking existing. If you sync yourself with them, you're going to be elevated beyond belief. You're going to be elevated beyond anything that you can previously imagine. If you put yourself in opposition to them, you're going to have a hard time. These dragons, the dragons of truth, and I believe that's what the true dragons that Mark Allen Smith is talking about, the one dragon, Hecate, but Hecate isn't the only name for this dragon. It has many, many names. Lucifer is the solar dragon archetype, and Belial is the dark dragon, or the watery dragon, the Poseidon, Neptune archetype. Neptunian divinity. They are self-existing. They just are. And when in devotion in the primal craft, when he says that you devote yourself to him, it doesn't mean slavish worship. It means syncing your chord with their chords. And when both your chords are vibing in the same frequency there, when both chords vibe together, it's the same as if you were vibing with cosmic law, with natural law. It's the same as if you are in accordance with objective morality, with natural law. It's the same as if you realized what your rights are, that you have governance over yourself, and that's it, and you're acting upon that. That's what I think Mark Smith is talking about in the Grimoires when he talks about devotional bhakti to Hecate, Lucifer and Belial, and the other dragons of Zero, dragons of the womb. That these are various archetypal cosmic powers, forces of nature that you can align yourself with, and that when you align yourself with, it's like aligning yourself with natural law. You will be elevated beyond your wildest dreams. But even then, you still have to have a normie life. You still have to have a normie job. You have to have a normie existence. You have to balance this shit the fuck out. And when you do balance this shit the fuck out, mastery over one, true mastery over one is going to lead to mastery over the other. You see, people who are really caught up, as I was saying to Henrik earlier, people who are spiritual escapists, they think they've achieved something. They're actually stagnating. If it was true mastery, that mastery would bleed over into the material. And same thing with like rich millionaires and elitist billionaires, the so-called elite. If they were true masters, if they were true sovereign, that would bleed over into their spiritual domain, and they wouldn't need to parasite off the working goyim. And I'm not putting down wealth. I'm not putting down wealthy people. It's okay to be wealthy. I'm talking about the elitist, New World Order assholes that fucking say that they want to rule over us like cattle. These people are not sovereign. They are enslaved to fear. True mastery over one leads to mastery over the other. Joseph Doherty just got back to me. He sent me a text saying that his phone died. So that explains what our problems were earlier. I'm glad that everything is all fucking good. I'm going to wrap this the fuck up now. I will have him on our next show, and I will make sure that he finishes the next show with me. All right, everything is all good here. John Goat, Goatian Scriptures, or Goatee, whatever the fuck you want to call me, just don't call me late for dinner or anything like that. Ending this fucking show with a bang, signing the fuck out.